for the pledge? Thank you. Flag's outside, so I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I got to tell you, this reminds me of a staff meeting that I would have. Everybody would sit on one side of the room away from where we're presenting, but it's fine, we'll yell real loud.
Yeah, if you can't hear, come on in. Move the table if you have to.
The rules and conduct are basically the same. If you have a question, let us know. We've got time at the end for questions. Be polite to everybody. If your phone starts ringing real loud, we'll throw it out a window, so turn them to silent, Karen.
I tried.
But anyway, just basically be polite to everybody. We did send the agenda out by email, and there are really no changes from what we sent out. So I want to hit the first big item on here is a budget update. When we get to committee reports, we'll get into detail from the Finance Committee on some of that stuff. At our last quarterly meeting, which is posted, the video is posted online on YouTube, and there's a link to that from our website. We're recording this basically just us right now on the video part. This will also go on YouTube, and I think the last several of our meetings have been up there, so if you want to go check them out, I would encourage you to do that. Last meeting we talked about concerns over approaching deficit spending. The budgets that we talked about then and new and updated budgets are all on the website. We'll hit a few highlights tonight. If you have questions, we'll try to take notes and get back to you on answers to that. We did two things. The Finance Committee looked at the budget and did a projection out over the next several years. We tried to have them, we told them to be bare bones as much as possible with it, so we weren't adding a lot of extras onto it because we want to see what our bottom line is. Lisa, our bookkeeper here, also did very much the same thing. I asked her to keep that extremely simple so that we could have like a single page to look at. The numbers, the deficit numbers are a little different between what Lisa has and what the Finance Committee had. Finance Committee was going into a lot of detail on that, so their deficit numbers over the next few years are a lot higher than what Lisa had put out there. But it's a start, and we've talked about this for months that we need to know where our expenses are going and how we can keep everything floating. The question has come up, and so it came up the last time, and we want to hit it here pretty hard. The last several years, the reason why our budget has looked so good, and I'm talking like 10 years about, is because Incline Village has had Incline-owned lots that we were able to sell, most of them for, I'm going to say 30 to much higher than that, 30 grand to much higher than that. That has gone directly into the budget, and that has balanced things out quite a bit. We are down to the point right now where we don't have lots to sell, so we're not going to be seeing anywhere from $30,000 to $90,000 coming in from lot sales. It's just not going to be there, so we have to look at things differently. One of the other things that we started doing this year and is worked on collecting our assessments better. We have had, I think we were close to 45, 46 families that were way behind on their assessments. So we've worked with our new attorney to try to get that up better. And I'm not going to do the math for you, but if you're behind on your assessments, if we've got 40 people behind on their assessments, we're looking at well over, about $40,000, give or take. So that's a huge hit to the village. We do have some people who are more behind than just one assessment, so our attorneys are working with those people as well. But just so you know, the attorneys do put in their fees. That is part of the penalty for not paying. So the village is technically shouldn't be out attorney fees for those collections. It all balances out. So then there's that, but we've got a lot of positive things that we've been looking at too, and we'll touch on those a little bit tonight and have more details later for you. But Karen was going to talk about, Karen has done a lot with the finances, with our bank accounts and everything, to look at ways to make that money work for us better. So
Okay.
go for it.
Okay, can everybody hear me? Okay, first off, what Sean said about collecting the assessments, that was previous trustees too that got a lot of that up to speed, and we need to recognize that. That's not a new program. The difference that we're taking now on that is we are turning it over to the lawyer, whereas before they were doing it in-house, so they didn't have lawyer fees. Part of the reason we're doing it that way is so people know that it's due, it's your bill. Part of it's due in September, the rest of it's due April 1st. You know, some people had a habit of just paying late. They didn't mind paying the extra. Anyway, I just wanted to give the previous trustees some credit for getting all that in place. The biggest thing that I've done personally was looked at the accounts at Missouri Bank, and we have 2 reserve funds. As you all know, the lake fund is strictly for the main lake. So that money we cannot use for anything other than the lake. The phase 1 is our let me think a minute, the
General.
reserve fund. It's the general fund and it's the reserve fund, and it's where all our operating funds come from. And we do have a reserve fund that has to be equal to at least 1 year's expenses. We don't want to get below that, or we're putting the whole community in jeopardy of not being able to sell your house. You know, if somebody wanted to buy it and they find out that your HOA is going under, you're not going to get anything for your property. So what I was able to do was negotiate with Missouri Bank to get a higher interest rate on all of our accounts. It will be a floating interest rate, but it's at least 3 times more than what we had. So that's going to increase our income by quite a bit in a year. We're also going to we are looking into putting some of it in CDs and bonds so that we have the ladder to keep that income coming in, and so that it's not as tied to the market. No stocks, just strictly income, interest producing funds are what we're going to be doing. Take it away, Chris.
Got it. Yeah, so one of the projects we've been working on as well is around, reducing expenses as a whole across the budget, but specifically in regards to the pool. So we've made some decisions this year that will do that. It saves us, we say approximately $20,000. It's a little more than that for us this year. So there's some more news to come on that. But we've worked with our attorney, with our insurance person to make sure that everything that we're looking at works. And what it'll mean is we'll have additional signage at the pool. We won't have lifeguards going forward at the pool for that saving. And what we're able to do is provide different ways to access the pool area, which is potentially expandable in the future for us to other points of access, including the gate system on the outside, along with the clubhouse and any other of our amenities. That'll be a multi-stage rollout of anything like that. But this year, that's the biggest change, saving us over $20,000 this year in our budget for the pool. So pretty excited for that one.
Yeah, and look for information about that. I know Jane's been working on pool guidelines, hours and things like that. So we think hopefully this is going to be a real positive for everybody, for the village. So looking forward to seeing how everything works with
Just
that.
one more thing on that. So with that, we do have the opportunity to be more flexible with what our hours are on a particular day, and also the pool period. If we end up with an unusually hot, season after that final date, we don't necessarily have to close at that date. We're not at the mercy of those individuals that, the pool company we were using before to be able to do that. So it kind of puts the control back on us, gives us the opportunity to increase our hours, and then saves us a significant amount of money every year too.
Okay, the next couple of things I had on the agenda, I already touched on: the improved collection process, creating a bare bones budget. I didn't have Ed's numbers to plug in on the agenda yet, so I was only looking at Lisa's numbers, and if you pulled up the agenda that was emailed to you, we're looking at, on her numbers, being at least 10,000 in deficit spending by 2031. So there's that. Ed also, when he was putting his stuff together, did not have some of our projections for what Karen had done with the accounts and what we were looking at with the pool and all of that. So it's a work in progress, and we are trying to be as methodical with this as possible. We need to be methodical with it. The last thing for this section is we've begun to review the need for a vote on an assessment increase. And we've said this in several meetings. It's been in newsletters. This isn't a new thing. It's been discussed in the Finance Committee for years, that we're going to get to that point where we will need to do this. So we've started taking a look at that. We're going to communicate as much as we can with that. Part of what we're doing with the numbers we're asking the Finance Committee and Lisa to put together is we want to see how far in the hole we're looking 5 years out if we change nothing. And then we want to look at what we need to do to make our assessments high enough that we can push ourselves past that 5 years. And I think tentatively we're looking at a 10-year goal. So we want to make sure that we're keeping things afloat for 10 years out from this point. And part of that is, we know we need to do repairs on things. A lot of that was not plugged into the budgets, these bare bones budgets. So those are things that we know we need to do, and if we're not financially careful, we're going to go in the hole deeper and deeper every year. And the last thing I had here is how much of an increase. We don't know that yet. We want to continue working with the numbers and definitely talk to members of the community just once we start getting closer to what we think we may need to do. But that's also why all of the financials are being, they're online. These reports are all online. So please take a look at them. If you have questions, email us, and we'll try to make sure we get good answers for you. Moving on from Ed's going to talk about finances when we get to the committee stuff. So he's going to go over his stuff in more detail then. Another thing we had in there, and we'll all kind of chime in on this, we've been talking about our indenture and the need to update and improve things with it. We probably pounded this to death, but it was written in 1974, and it has had no changes since then. It had one set of changes, and just to be blunt, it was done illegally, and the judge threw them out and said we had to go back to the 74 indentures. So we're sitting on an indenture that's well over 50 years old. Our attorneys have said there are things that we should probably be looking at as a community to make it a more workable document, but we are tied down to whatever we do has to meet the current standards in the indenture. So if that makes sense. So what we were looking at two possible amendments. We threw these out. One, do we want to try to add 2 additional trustees to the board, which, a lot of us have said this before, this is a huge community to just have 3 board members. But we also talked about the fact that trying to get people to volunteer for something like that, because again, we don't get paid, is very difficult. So we tabled that. Me personally, I believe that is a very important thing for us to look at again, to try to spread the work out that the board is doing. The other one, we went back to the voting amendment. There was a lot of discussion in the community about the voting amendment. I put the numbers here. We had mailed out 573 ballots, 308 were returned, 53, almost 54% of the eligible lot owners participated, which we need 75% to reach a quorum. So we didn't reach the quorum, but what we did have is 92% of the people who responded said yes on the voting stuff. 25% said no. I know some people didn't vote. I will not go into my social studies teacher mode and explain to you that a no vote is a stupid vote because you're not casting your thoughts out there. But if you say no, vote no. Voting is a right that we have that hopefully we don't lose. But so the vote amendment had come very close to passing. A lot of the questions were about language in it that, you know, our attorney at the time had put language in that he said should have been fine. The new attorneys have looked at it and said he was right. It's fine. The language was fine, but we could see where people would be concerned because it was kind of convoluted. So the new attorney has been working on something for a voting amendment that is going to be short and sweet. We've seen a draft of it. I don't know if you guys want to.
Yeah, the key really in there was a couple of things. One is to make it more simple. And part of the issues we had with the last one was really around just a little bit of a misunderstanding of exactly what article means what and where it is. So we take that on as our responsibility to make sure that it is straightforward enough that, you know, it's clear and everyone can understand exactly what it is. And then just to Sean's point earlier, the purpose of doing this is about, it just changes the way in which you are able to vote. It doesn't change voting requirements. It still requires 75% of lot owners to make, you know, that kind of change, 50% to elect a trustee. You know, I don't remember the year we last had a 50% in an annual meeting, 17 maybe, or I don't know.
I think it was about that.
And what that means is that you never get to actually elect anybody. It's just we're then forced to appoint someone every time, and that's not always the best way to do it. So that's the purpose and the why, and it just changes it from the specific language that's in there that's so rigid we have no ability to go outside of it to include other future methods, whatever they may be, right? So, you know, I think it's important for us to be able to do it. And, you know, without it, we can never make a change to anything ever, basically. And any changes that happen will do so in the only way that have legally happened in the village since its creation, which we all go, you know, there's a class action and we all go stand in front of a judge and they do it. And we'd rather not have to do that.
Yeah, so the idea, again, we've said this, is to put the voting in the community's hands. Nothing changes with the quorums or any of those other requirements. And another way of looking at this, proxy voting is something that we've been doing for 50 years. This just adds to that concept. So over the next few months, we're going to throw ideas out and thoughts out on Facebook to try to make sure we're getting information out there. Once we get something closer to a final copy from the attorney, we'll put that out and let everybody take a look at it. I've sort of mentioned this. I don't necessarily know how these guys feel about it, but I kind of want to approach the people who had the biggest issues the last time around and bring them together and just say, okay, can you take a look at this? Because several of them did come and say, if only this had been done, if only that had been done. So we're trying to make sure those are all in the attorney's hands, but before we progress too much further with this, let's get people together who may have an issue with it and see what we can do to try to fix it.
There is a cost to that campaign of doing that every time, which the village incurs, right? So I don't remember, where it was about 30.
It was over $3,000
30 something
last
hundred
year.
bucks, yeah. So
And I'm going to throw my 2 cents in now. The biggest thing that we want to change is pretty simple. We want to give everybody that owns a lot or is in residence here a voice in what we do for you. And that means we want to add electronic voting and mail-in balloting. However that ends up happening, that's what we need to do to move into this century, especially the electronic voting. You have people that are stuck in their house because they've got handicapped children at home and they can't get to a meeting. They want to, but they can't. So they're not voicing their opinion. The biggest thing that we saw last year was that we had a lot of those non-votes. People were apathetic. They just think, oh, it's going on fine without me. So we need to find out, was that really a no vote or was it just not a vote? Does that make sense? So I think what we're going to be doing is, again, trying to reach those people and to reach out to those that had opposition to it and work with them to see what we can do to make it simple and easy and to get it passed, hopefully without a big expense. But by our rules right now, by the indenture, we have to do a mailing before every annual meeting. So, the expense is always going to be there. The difference is if we pass it, we're going to have more of a vote and a feel for what the community really wants, not just what we think they want. Because, look around tonight. We've got more people here than we had at the last meeting, and we have 800 lot owners. They wouldn't fit in this building. So we just really need to get people to get engaged.
I had nothing more on that. And again, if you have questions about it, you can ask them when we get closer to the end here, or email them to us, and we'll try to get to them either in the newsletter or the next quarterly meeting. No information from the manager. We're kind of covering everything here, and look for emails from Jane to come out. We had boat docks up there. It's been asked about. We do not plan on any new docks this season for a variety of reasons. One thing I do want to back up and say, and Eric is here, so thank you, Eric, for getting this put together. There's still some misunderstandings out there about the docks. We don't pay for them. We don't technically own them. We get rent from whoever rents a boat dock. Mac Docks sends the village rent. We also do not maintain them. So if you were here and you remember the old docks, it scared the daylights out of me to walk on them because they were in horrible shape. Our new docks, Mac Docks maintains and does all of that stuff. So I have actually had people ask me why we spend so much money on our docks. And I'm like, we stopped that 5 years ago, 4 years ago. So as far as putting in new docks, we're hesitant on doing anything unless we get a group of people together. We've tried to put a boat dock committee together. It's been in newsletters, but we're not going to move forward with it unless we get a group of people who want to come together and talk about dock placement, if we need new docks or more docks, and where we want to place them. So, and we'd be going through Mac Docks, so we wouldn't be paying or buying anything. We would be, getting rental from the slips. So
or if people feel strongly against it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, without providing that information, we just try and have to use our best judgment. So, again, that's one of the other reasons why being able to communicate is so important.
Okay, we're basically to the committee stuff. I'm going to hit construction committee. We have spent years looking at the construction guidelines, and we've had we've got updates in place for them right now. So one of the biggies is the construction deposit has moved from $5,000 to $7,000. That is refundable to the builder if they do everything that they're supposed to do. One of the items that we were looking at with that is the fact that we have builders who do not do what they're supposed to do. They work on Sundays, they block roads, they do things like that. And we had little built into the construction guidelines where we could do things. We had things in the indenture that gave us the right to do things, but it was a long drawn out process. So the construction guidelines, the contract to builder signs, now also includes a list of penalties. So if you work on a Sunday, I think we penalize you $2,000. If you have your contractors coming in the main gate, we're seeing that concrete getting torn up, that's our money. And we need to stop that. So I'm going to say two things about that. They're coming in the gate, there's a penalty payment for that, but we need your help with that. We need the community help. If you see a concrete truck coming in the gate or one of the huge construction trucks, if you can take a picture of it, that's great, or get the name, that's great. Let us know in the office, and what we will do is have somebody pull the video, make sure we know exactly who it is. So we need to know from you guys, what time did you see it, who was it? We'll do all the rest. But we cannot allow, this goes back to the expense. We cannot allow streets to be torn up. We cannot allow drainage issues to go on because a builder decides to kind of play around with stuff like that. So that's all things that we've done in the construction document. It's updated, and it won't apply to current construction because they've already signed off, but it will apply to any new construction that we have going on. We've got a lot of construction happening right now. People ask about, we've got a lot of, we do have many lots out there that are privately owned, that people had been calling them unbuildable, but we've got builders right now who are willing to go out there with measure it exactly and get homes on lots that we had previously thought wouldn't be good for that. So this is something we're going to be continuing to look at and deal with in the future. But that's the update. We do have a lot of homes being built right now. If you have an issue, please contact the office so that we can try to address it. We recently had concrete trucks running through somebody's yard, and we got that worked out. So that's basically it from the construction committee.
Okay, 4th of July next, that's me. So a couple of announcements. So first one, our second trivia event we've had to cancel / postpone. Unfortunately, I'll be working on that date now out of town, so won't be able to make it. Everything we're on pace. It's been a lot of work buying from multiple vendors. I've received, shipments started coming in already, so we're early on that. I'll reach out to the community when we get closer to the time for, we get a lot of volunteers on the morning of to move them over. So I'll be looking to try and, coordinate a group of folks with trucks for that too. We get great support from a whole crew of folks on cleanup the next day as well. And then if anyone wants to volunteer to be part of any of the other stuff we do, like whether it's, building them on the weeks leading up to it, or even be part of it on the night, we're happy to meet and have folks do it. I've had a few ask me specifically. Super excited for this year. Got a few new tricks up our sleeves, so looking for a big one on year 250 for the USA.
And not all the big booms we're hearing are coming from you.
No, and I'll tell you when they're me. If there's an explosion over there, it's not me. I'll let you know when it is.
Yeah, terrorizes our dogs. Finance committee is up. Ed's going to talk a little bit about this, but we do want to thank the finance committee for all the work they have done and continue to do. So, Ed, go for it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say to kind of pair on some of their comments. For next year, we still are showing a positive balance, not much. But after that, we're going into deficit.
And sign the parking lot,
And the real
right?
issue is,
We did? The parking lot?
assessment increase.
I don't remember
Most
signing
of the
that.
trustees can increase
We signed the streets and the trenches.
based on the inflation rate of the cap of 5%.
Check.
Inflation rate for February
Won't
is
mention it.
2.4%, which
Close enough.
translates to about $11,000 in additional income. And the issue with that kind of goes back to voting, is you have to do first-class mailings with returning self-address, and that's like $1,300 just in postage. So your net income increase that the trustees can do is practically nothing. That's not going to balance the budget.
So, yeah, and like the Finance Committee information is online. Parks Committee, Pam?
We've got a couple of things to cover. First of all, our golf tournament this year is June 14th. Hopefully you've seen a sign at the entrance. We're currently looking for our sponsors, players, and volunteers. So if you want to help the day up, we're welcoming volunteers. Go talk to your people at work, help us get sponsors, help get more players. We'd like to sell out this year. It is back on Sunday, so that hopefully will work. The Parks Committee also has notification on Walnut Park. The play set that we ordered for the last component that's in the existing mulch area is shipping on March 19th. So it should be here in about 2 weeks. What's coming with that is a 6-foot bench and a slide with a little mini climber on it. And so we'll have that installed with our great volunteers sometime in May. And then the last thing on that is after we get our funds settled, then we'll start some additional improvement in the community center park playground.
Okay.
I have also the beach area. You want me to cover that?
Yeah.
The beach parking lot is just a separate project, and I talked to the contractor today. All those contracts have been signed by the trustees. This is for expanded beach parking. It'll be a gravel parking lot, and the construction should be the 2nd or 3rd week of April, and there'll be information that goes out in the newsletter regarding that.
Okay, thanks. We have Social Committee up next.
Okay, wanted to thank everybody for our new events that we did this year, the paint and sips. They were pretty successful. We'll be helping the Kids Club do the Easter egg hunt on Saturday, March 28th at 11 a.m. here at the clubhouse. We need candy. Yes?
Sorry, we've had, Sherry wanted me to add, we've had a lot of candy already donated. But if you want to donate more, drop it off here. She's been able to round up one mom to help stuff eggs,
Yeah,
so.
she said that there was one person who could do all the eggs, and that was wonderful. Yes.
She said,
We meet on the first Monday of the month. Next meeting is April 6th at 6. I think we're gonna take over your date, and do bingo that week instead of doing May 2nd. I really didn't wanna do a May. So next bingo will be April 18th at 7. Vandal and Beach events start May 30th with Blackbird Strut and what? Yes, and the fireworks committee will be to the food on that, and then we do have a dessert truck coming too that night. Kind of new this year, we're asking for corporate sponsorships of each band on the beach. That's $500 for any business. We have 2 sponsorships left. We have 1 business sold, and then we have a very, very nice citizen that wants to just sponsor that anonymously, which is awesome. So kind of ask around if you've got people that are doing business in here. We would really like to have their money because it's getting harder and harder to raise funds, and the bands are getting more and more expensive. We have a $1,400 band this year and an $1,800 band. That's a lot of money, but that's the bands that people are requesting. So, you know, we're trying to meet the needs of what people want, but it's also costing a lot more money than what we've done in the past. And then just got approval tonight when I came in, we will be having our very first cardboard float race. Did you hear that, Tim? Did you hear that, Tim? Cardboard float race. Yes, and that will be, let's see, when are we doing that? We're doing that on July the 19th, it's a Sunday. We have rules and regs and all that, but I did not know we were approved until tonight, so we'll get that out in the next newsletter with all the rules and regs. Because we have to be legal, obviously we don't want anybody drowning, you know, so life vests will be required, obviously, and then we have a few other rules and regs that go along with that. So, that's kind of what's going on. It's been a busy year.
And going to be fun coming up.
It should be. Should be fun summer.
Okay, Karen was going. Tim isn't here to talk about roads. Karen was going to hit that real quick.
Okay, what we've got approved to be done this year, and the contracts have been turned in.
Signed.
Signed and turned back to the Mid-Rivers, and Jane will be scheduling that. But I'm going to try to read from here, and hopefully my tongue doesn't twist up again. We've got Mimosa Court, Cypress Court, Ponderosa Court, Gulfside Court, Mulberry Drive, Ponderosa, I just said that twice.
You got drive and court.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
But
We'll also send this out.
maybe
so
they
people
got it
are-
in sections because
yeah.
they've got it written 3 times. Well, you know what? Back it up. Those are I think those are the road cuts that
Yeah.
we're fixing. That's where I made a mistake. Everything that I just mentioned here are where we have the bad dips from the trenches. No, it isn't. It's the roads. Okay, I don't know how to read these evidently.
We'll send the list out.
It'll be
so-
out, yeah.
So everybody can see that. And I'm glad Karen mentioned the road cuts. That goes back to construction. That's another violation that builders would be dealing with. But we are trying to clean up a lot of the road cuts that are, really terrible. And unfortunately, we're taking that on as a village expense right now because some of them have been there for 20 years and we just need to get it fixed. Water patrol, Laura?
Lake Committee, everything's going fine right now, getting ready for the season. Currently doing boat inspections. We do need water patrol to be hired. We're looking at starting a few water patrol hours possibly in May because we get a lot of boat traffic in May. Just a few hours a week in May, and just trying to figure out that water patrol hiring. We're going to do lake cleanup on May 2nd, trying to do it a little bit sooner than we did last year so that we're not running into Mother's Day or garage sales, so things like that. We're going to do it the same way we did last year. Basically, the Lake Committee will be running the boats and volunteers that come to us, and we'll put everything on the beach. And then we'll get equipment here and volunteers on that Saturday to get it to the fire pit. And then at some point, whether it's been on the beach or a different day, we'll go ahead and burn that. After that, we'll get the beach set up again, and hopefully we'll do a little bit better job of getting that beach. I think we're gonna reset that buoy so that hopefully that rope at the beach doesn't keep moving in, because that's what we ran into last year. That buoy just kept moving in, and nobody told me, so it just kind of was like that. So hopefully we'll get those issues fixed this year, and that buoy will stay farther out and give us a bigger swim area. Other than that, that's pretty much it. We're just, hopefully the boat will go in the water soon. We've got a couple of those orange balls that need to be reset. But other than that, the lake, from what I can see from the shoreline, I haven't been on the lake yet, it looks like things are in pretty good shape, so.
I think so. Two real quick. Laura has put together a really great map that's been in the last 2 newsletters. We put it in there on a single page, so if you want to tear it out and take a look at it, you can do that, or laminate it, or whatever you want to do.
Yeah, then the other thing we did is when we did our stickers this year, we took a took a look at a lot of those voting rules that we're seeing people not necessarily follow and put those on their sheet so that those are right in front of their face when they put the sticker on. You don't have to go, you sign that you read them, but I don't know if people are really going back and opening up the website and looking there. So we went ahead and put some of those most common safety guidelines right there. So hopefully people know it better. So.
Okay, thanks.
Rules and regs.
Rules and regulations, Pat, did you have anything?
Who's over there?
No, oh. I'm not wearing my glasses or contacts, so. All right, thanks, Pat. We're at the questions, comments, concerns section, so any questions? Way too quiet.
There's-
Yes.
Could you define the truck issues at the gate? Because you see the bigger, heavy equipment coming in. You see the pickups, the double cab pickups with the fifth wheels and the heavy equipment in their trailers. You have the lawn people. You have people with just trailers. So where is your cutoff?
There's a weight limit that is posted, and honestly, I don't remember what it is, but what I would say, good question. If you see something and you're not sure about it, contact the office, we'll double check it. Pickups generally are not going to be an issue coming in that gate.
Some of those carry some pretty heavy equipment on them. Because they're acting as fifth wheels with the extra long trailers.
Mhm.
And they'll have loaders, backhoes, and heavy equipment on it. So I mean,
That-
that's kind of the question is, and then you have the lawn people who have the bigger trailers with their mowers, and they'll be carrying several mowers and several, plus the big thing on the end. So, I mean, it gets complicated, and that was just the question.
It, I would say if you see something and you're not sure, let the office know and we'll double check on it. I want to say I'm not even going to speculate on what the weight limit is. There's a sign at the main gate that talks about that. So if you see something and you're not sure, let us know. We'll check the cameras and make a decision if it's not appropriate.
A follow-up on that, is it just wear and tear, or is it also safety for that gate?
It's primarily wear and tear, but safety on the gate is another. Like
on the physical gate, just safety of the residents and the golfers going in and out.
Yeah. I mean, all of it weighs in, but we don't want construction traffic coming in there. We've got the designated gate at WW, so most of our contractors have been pretty good about using it. It's the ones who don't. I've chased down a handful of cement trucks and contacted companies. So if we know about it, we are going to deal with it.
What about delivery?
Yeah.
Delivery trucks and
Most of those are going to be fine, but again, if you've got a question about a truck coming in, go ahead and let us know in the office. Like a Lowe's delivery truck or something of that nature, they should be coming through the WW gate. Pam?
While we're talking about gates, can you guys take a look at why the gate on Springtown is the only gate that's not on the timer? The one in the very back? Because the reason is sometimes there's 3 or 4 cars lined up to get in and out. And also your rear end of your vehicle depends on what vehicle you have, but while you're waiting to get into the gate, it's in the street. And at one time, that gate was open all day long and just closed at nights and on weekends. And then it went to electronic, and plus it also generates noise. So, I mean, I live a little bit away from it, but you can hear every time, beep, beep, beep. You hear every time all day long.
I'll talk gates if you want. So, a few things like, there are a wide variety of opinions on what should happen with these gates. Okay, and I guess the sign of a good compromise is nobody's happy. To the comment of 3 or 4 cars waiting, they don't have a clicker, like they shouldn't be going in there, right?
No, they're
It
wait.
takes longer.
I know that, but not, again, you got a pretty tight traffic pattern of people getting in and out when it takes 12 seconds to open, right? I don't think we see that kind of volume. I mentioned earlier about our gate access system for the future. There's no right answer that's going to make everyone happy with what it is. So, like, we could say, sure, we can leave the gates open if we want, and then we'll have, a bunch of people say, why is the gate open? Like, there's no happy answer there.
I agree that there's never going to be a happy medium. It's just that there's only one gate in the community that is always requires the clicker to open. It's not open during normal traffic hours.
Sure.
And I don't know why. So I just asked
Is the WW one open?
Eric, go ahead.
I can tell you why.
It is.
I was a trustee when that went in. We kept it closed to get construction traffic to go to WW.
Yep.
That was the whole reason. So we couldn't lock the front gate because of the golf course. So we merged everybody to the WW gate. When we did have the Stringtown gate open, all the construction traffic came in that gate. So that's why, at that time, we made the decision to lock that gate, basically clicker 24/7.
And originally, that gate was a gate arm, right? It was a gate arm rather than a physical gate.
It was a sliding gate that someone went down every morning and opened and closed.
Sure, I mean, since there was,
Since 2018, but yeah.
since there was an opener, it was a gate arm,
It was a gate
right?
arm.
And we removed that based on the driving ability of people going through those gates and replacing the gate arm every less than 15 days on average, right? So, we made the decision to remove the gate arm and have a physical gate like the other gates with an opener, but it takes, I say 12 seconds. I think it's like 8, but you call it 12, it's fine to open that gate at that time. But yes, Eric, to your point, that's why originally, and it was one in, one out, but because people just tailgate and would drive through, they would just keep hitting it over and over and over again. So sure, we can look at our times for opening the gate. I think we should kind of save that for a trustee meeting session.
Yep. Other questions or?
I just have something. At the end of Mulberry, somebody ran over, I guess it was a street sign, maybe a stop sign, but there's 2 poles leaning over, and I didn't know if y'all knew.
Yes, are the signs on the poles? Are the signs on the poles?
I don't think so, I think they're wrong.
They are wrong, okay.
Yeah, I think whoever did it had to be in a truck and maybe didn't guess right.
I think we need to start having driving tests in here for residents, maybe, or a probationary period, maybe. I don't know.
So anyway, I didn't know if y'all were aware of that.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Chris, what's the gate count?
Oh, I don't know how many days since our last gate incident. I stopped counting.
We're doing pretty good though.
Don't say it out loud. Come on. Any other questions?
I have one extremely minor for possible consideration. Is there a way to contact for a bus stop to be moved maybe along this route and they could park in this lot? When you go to, Village Drive, West and Fairway, right where that construction's going? Each morning where that bus turns, there's at least one car that parks right on that stop sign, which is not an issue, you can go around. But when the bus comes, at the same time you have traffic, at the same time you have parked vehicles.
Yeah.
One morning there was literally 4 to 5 cars
It
on
was
a
a snow.
rainy, cold day where it was like, I'll go around, but I'm gonna meet somebody.
Yeah.
Which,
Kind of.
Seems like for safety
Just for
reasons,
snowy days.
you
Yeah.
wouldn't want the bus to stop on that corner.
which corner is that again?
Fairway and Village Drive West,
Okay.
right by where
And
that's
if it's raining or anything, there's always a car that catty corner parks on there and shines its lights in somebody's house. God bless that person. I guess nobody sleeps in those rooms, but those lights are on the whole time shining. in that
Again,
person's
it's
house.
minor.
Oh my
For me,
God.
it'd be more of a safety kind of thing for the kids getting out there. with
Yeah.
the bus flies
Yeah.
by.
Right, we understand the cars.
That's a good point. I made a note in general about, we should talk about bus routes maybe when there's construction in certain areas too in general, so I appreciate it, Steve.
Snow routes, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They do have snow routes.
they do, yeah.
Yeah, if there's snow routes that corner, that's not a good corner, because that's a pretty main drive through.
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess it depends on which school the bus is going to.
right,
No, I meant which middle school or the grade school.
well, it's at 6:05 in the morning that there's bus there, so you need to figure that out.
So at 6:05, that's probably the high school. It might be the middle school.
I think the school bus is the same people that, they have the same school bus district anyway, so I don't think it matters. We can talk to any of them.
Just
Yeah.
if they had a snow route, probably would be the biggest thing. I know on rainy days, the parents are gonna be there, but, yeah.
I think that has sent right now. That's the one that sent the Sarah. The one.
Oh, no, that's not the one that gets lunchtime.
It's like.
It's 2 doors up, I think, yeah.
God bless them. I figure they don't have kids or anything.
Anything else?
Mr. Sullivan.
So on the voting thing, and before I say anything, I am totally behind us being able to vote online. But if we ever have any issues in the future, is there a possibility of maybe, so the last time we took a vote, it was one of the better turnouts that we've ever had, 54%. So is there, do we have the option of maybe saying, okay, if we get more than 50%, then we can overturn something in the adventures?
So, again, going back to the 70, great question, and the short and simple answer is, in our current indenture, it says we have to have 75% to change an amendment and 50% to elect a trustee. The answer to your question would be, if we would have to put an amendment out to change that and get 75% of the people to vote for it. So,
Advertise it and everything.
yeah,
And
yeah.
still call it a meeting or whatever, and then, which brings on another question. There are some things like where people aren't able to cast a vote, like in our case, when we came in to vote, they were like, oh, you can't vote because your dues aren't paid. So we had to pay our dues, and then by the time we came up there with the check when the office hours were going on, we had missed the window, and I think they may or may not, don't kill anybody in the office, but they may have slid our vote into the bin bags. But there are some other considerations, like maybe you say, okay, for voting purposes, yeah, you can't go to the pool, but for voting purposes, you're still allowed to cast a vote even if you have.
That's in the indenture. If
Yeah.
you're not up to date, you do not get
Yeah.
a vote. That is in the indenture.
I think we've all said this over the last couple of years, that if you run into something that you really hate that you think we did, it's probably in the indenture, so, and we had no choice.
Just one comment on that, Drew, right, is like, there's a balance between like ease of doing something and like speed, right? So if you want it to be, fast, it needs to be easy, right? And like our governments in both countries, right? I'm aware of their government, how they work. Sometimes the point is it's not supposed to be super easy for the three of us to make a bunch of changes or whatever, right? That's why personally I think it's very important that it does take 75% for us to get there, because it protects everyone from like a group of people kind of having their own agenda and doing whatever they want, right? I think it should require that many. Our goal is to make it so we can actually collect enough votes to know, like, possibly if something could pass or not, right? And right now, like, never in the history of the village has there been a 75% quorum to make an amendment to an indenture ever. That's never happened.
75%, is that people who are eligible?
Yes.
Yeah, there's an
Yes.
eligibility characteristic there,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not the 700 families.
Yeah, so
Right.
if you
Correct.
notice in the notes on the agenda, it says 573 ballots mailed, and that was 573 eligible lot owners at that time. So yes, there's an eligibility part. And paying the assessments is one, there are others potentially, but.
And
Drew, are you joining the committee to get this to happen? That's a serious question, even though we're all laughing.
I mean, I I probably should volunteer more than I do.
I heard that as a yes.
I heard that as a yes.
Love it.
I'm on a committee that my wife has me assigned to. There's a lot of tasks involved with that. But it seems like, like honestly, there might be some consideration on going before like a jury on this kind of stuff, just to get things the way we want it. Because I agree with you guys. Three board members is pretty slim, and we're increasing in size every year.
I mean, we have the same number of lots, but you got more residents, right? So, and typically what you find in communities similar is it's one representative on the board for every 100 lots, basically. So even at 5, we're behind what other standards would be if you built this today. But, you know, back to that point, we don't get a lot of volunteers because it does become more and more labor intensive as time goes on. And then, but if we have 5 of us, we split that workload a little more. It's a little easier to get a volunteer to come in and help. And, you know, we can still, you know, people add a lot of value in different ways. So that's the why on that. And then the voting thing, I agree with you. It's just, we've got to do it once the way the indenture currently says it in order for us to be able to do it any other way going forward. And I said, like, I think it's important we have those protections remain in place, but in the way that it currently happens, it's never happened.
Just
And
given the last vote and how, you know, it made so much sense, it makes you wonder, like, if we said, okay, we don't get 75 votes saying otherwise, we're gonna burn the whole village down to the ground, we wouldn't get 75 saying otherwise.
probably, yeah, it's very difficult.
You guys advertised it, it made perfect sense, it made things way easier, it made the whole village have a voice essentially, without having to mail anything in or come in person and submit their ballot. And so I don't understand how we can even get enough people to say, yeah, that makes sense.
I try to look at the positives with things, with that. I was expecting it not to pass. I was upset that it didn't pass, but I was also really pleased to see how much discussion there was in the community. There was some negative discussion, but most of it was positive, people asking questions. And I think our intent doing this again is we do think people have to have a voice in what goes on in the village. And so we're going to kind of push on this again. But I would be thrilled beyond belief if we had 100% of the village vote on this, and they said no.
That's fine too. Yeah.
At least we got people expressing their opinions. So, we're going to try to be real clear with that. But again, I go back to the what we're really talking about is not much different from what we have right now as a proxy vote. We've just put it
Just a different form of
in people's
communication.
hands. Yeah. So.
Yeah, we even put self-addressed stamped envelopes. So all they had to do was yes, no, turn around, put it right back in the mail. But they didn't do that. So that means they're not reading their mail or they just don't care. But when you don't care, nothing's going to happen and you're going to see things starting to go downhill. Because that's just the way it is.
I think Sean said it right where you guys are working on the revision 2, right?
Sure.
Post it out there, let people do their complaints before you send
Yeah.
anything out.
Yeah.
You
And
know, don't save the $1,300 like Ed said.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and don't forget, that's $1,300 to mail it out. It's double because we put self-addressed envelopes for return, right? So quite quickly it happens.
You know, a ballot box at the fireworks show wouldn't be a bad idea either.
Yeah.
We had that.
The band can point everybody in the right
We
way.
had that at the fireworks show. There were ballots there.
Tim?
Yeah, we collected a few at the parade. So.
Speaking of both, Tiala, these guys pay assessments up there.
Mm-hmm.
Are they gonna ever have a say into, into Incline Village?
There was I just looked at this morning, so I'm going to try to give you my best answer from memory. MLM, I believe, was the name of the construction company. It went to court. And the court judgment said that They pay assessments to us, they have amenities usage, they can go to the annual meeting, but they do not get a vote. It's just the way it is. They're supposed to maintain their own road up there. They've got a separate HOA in addition to what they pay fees here. The fees they pay here, we take care of the rest of the roads that they need to access their street, and they're allowed to use the pool and the lake. Did I get that right?
Yep.
And 2015, I believe, was the date of that.
I think we would all agree that if
Of
we
that
could
lawsuit.
wave a magic wand and that community up there, you know, was developed as part of this, and they would have the same, you know, rights and everything that the rest of the lots do in the village, it would be a lot easier for everyone, including us. But, you know, we don't get to make that determination, and that's a court order.
Yeah, unfortunately, they would have to take it to court, but I think what you're hearing, we're all big advocates of no taxation without representation. Sorry to my Brit friends, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel right, but we're stuck because that's what the court said, and until the courts change that, and that's going to have to come from them taking it to court.
I do remember one more thing from that. They do have the right to vote on an increase in assessments, but if it gets passed, or we have the one that we can do without an approval, which is cost of living, they do get to vote on that assessment, but that's basically it. But we do have members up there that volunteer on the committees that are very helpful.
A lot. I mean,
Yeah.
half of the firework committee live up on the Upper Incline,
Oh,
right?
I didn't realize that.
Sorry.
On the voting, I wasn't aware of how much work you guys put in. It sounds like there's a lot. Was there a voting committee established? And
There was.
how many people were on it?
Our committee chair was sitting right there.
How many people were on that?
Let's see. Me, Pam, Karen, we had
Lisa
we had at least 6 or 7 folks.
and
So if you had like 10 or 15, they could go door to door and you get 100%.
Well, that was 25. We looked at a variety.
Well, you wouldn't get 100%. I mean, that's just the terminology. You would get better than 55%.
There was a strong paper against that.
What's that?
There was a bunch of us volunteers that, and it was a strong paper against that.
There was there were some people that felt that they didn't want to bother lot owners by knocking on the doors and asking for votes, and that's a valid concern. So they come down, please fill this out, that may or may not be accepted, but at that, it could create more hostilities. So although we had a plan for door to door and we attempted to do it, that kind of bubbled up. That there would be people in the community that would not take that in a positive manner. So to not have to have that type of, discussion with the people that live here, we decided to take it. But door to door was one of the things that we.
Wasn't there a legal discrepancy too
It was
about
claimed.
solicitation?
Yeah, no, it wouldn't have been, yeah.
Because I do remember.
And you know what the response is.
Yeah, there was just a concern that there would create more aggravation than,
We're hoping moving,
There's probably 200 lots that you don't pay everybody.
yeah.
that too.
We're,
Yeah, but you'd have more rate.
You would.
yeah,
We will be forming a committee, and anybody that has great ideas is welcome to participate. I know that I was on that committee and we worked hard, and I was really surprised when it failed, because I really thought we had everything in place, we had the legal, all of that, and it didn't. And again, my take on it was the apathy, the people that just didn't bother to respond.
Well,
So-
it was the first time, as we've talked.
Yeah.
Right,
It's never been attempted that I'm aware of. I've been here quite a long time.
right.
And so your first time out, was your first time out. We learned a lot of things. There was a report submitted, and the next time that they want to go ahead and do it, there'll be a good guide there for you. But I don't, apathy, yes, or people are just happy with the way things are. You can look at it many different ways.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a success, just the fact that you got,
Yes.
you know, the highest response you've gotten thus far.
And I think we're hoping we can build on that. And you know, the door-to-door stuff generated a negativity with a small group, but it was vocal, and we decided not to mess with that. But you know, and also there was a lot of misunderstanding about what the indenture really said and what it meant. You know, our attorney had given us feedback throughout the entire process, had written all of this, but then we had people who were saying our attorney was an idiot. I mean, basically, and they were, you know, I'm sorry if I'm being too blunt, but, you know, we were getting that kind of stuff, and he wasn't. What he put together made sense, but we're hoping that using the issues that came up then and being able to tell people we've got that to get, we've put all this together, we're trying to build on it. We have a new attorney who's looking at it, and it's going to be worded differently, and we're trying to take into account any of the issues and concerns that had come up. So hopefully we get a lot closer to getting this one to pass. But you know, this meeting, if you know, you guys walk out of here and talk to 10 of your neighbors about it, hopefully we start getting positive messaging out there.
Yeah, it only takes one negative to get everyone suspicious.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I'll tell you, there was a suspicion that we kept trying to get back an answer that this was a way for the trustees to do whatever they wanted to do. And we're like, no, we're keeping everything the way it is. You know, there was another part of that where they were complaining about us being able to call a meeting whenever we wanted to. Well, I hate to say this to you guys, but in the indenture, it says anybody can call a meeting. I'm not going to go through the entire wording of it. Anybody can call a meeting as long as they get, you know, send out notice and get like 10% of the people to show up. But you'd still have to meet a quorum before you could get any vote done. So for us, the bottom line is we're not changing the quorum requirements, so we're just making it easier for people to vote. Hopefully.
I assure you, we're not a 3-person cabal looking at messing with everything we have going on. Yeah, I'd like to have less. That'd be great.
Yeah. We want
question on
less
that.
control.
Could you please remind me what legal structure we operate under? Is it C, S Corp, LLC, or is it nonprofit?
We're a nonprofit.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool. Anything else?
We actually ended that right about at an hour, so.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
very
the
much.
turnout this time versus last time, folks.
Yes.
And the participation.
Especially in the cold.